Let's just say for whatever reason you have 10,000 followers and you make absolutely no money from it. Or you have 100,000 followers or a million followers, you make no money. And this is a bigger problem that we see all the time with creators nowadays. I'm gonna show you what I would do to actually start making money with an audience. And I've done this so many times for so many other people across so many different niches. So let's dive into it. Number one is we have to diagnose the audience first. So 10,000 followers can be very valuable or almost useless. And if you're sitting here watching this video and you have 5, 10, 15, 20, 50,000 followers and you make no money, they're fucking useless to you right now, but they're not after this video. And so it all really depends on why these people followed you in the first place. And so what I'd wanna know and what I'd wanna check is what content built this audience? What problems do they actually care about? Do they have money? Why do they follow me? Are there clear subgroups or subcategories within the existing pool of people? And so the key question that we really need to anchor back to is, what does this audience already believe that I am good at? We need to evaluate your fucking audience right now, because your audience is literally following you for a specific reason, and they followed you previously in a point in time from a piece of content, whether they continue watching you or not. And that distinction matters because some are recurring watchers and some literally followed you from one reel and never watched you again. And so this matters because monetization gets easier when you sell the next logical step from the reason people already pay attention to you. And so you could have 10,000 followers all coming from, comedy sketches, but then you're trying to sell business consulting. There's no clear bridge between your existing audience and what you're trying to sell. But if another person has 10,000 followers documenting their journey from building an agency and then they try to sell consulting, there's a clear bridge. It's so much easier to sell that when the existing audience is aligned with that offer that you're trying to sell. And so you could have this aligned audience. The audience already wants something that you can get them and help them credibly with, or they're adjacent. And so there is a believable bridge between why they follow you and what I can sell. This happened to me. I was adjacent with my audience. I built fitness, productivity, things that entrepreneurs aligned with. And then I launched my consulting business for social media growth consulting. Okay, and so I had a clear bridge, and there was a couple of other components along with that made the offer actually sell a little bit better, but I'll get into that in a second. And then you have the misaligned. And so you built attention around something that does not connect well to what you want to monetize with. So this could be something, completely different. Like you built an audience from comedy or cooking, and then you're trying to sell fitness consulting or like business coaching. Actually, fitness, there is a clear bridge with fitness, so it would be more like business consulting. And so this diagnosis of aligned, adjacent, or misaligned changes how we approach absolutely everything. Okay, and so next we have to find the intersection of audience demand and then your actual skill. And so with audience demand, there are sort of three ingredients here. They want a real outcome. The outcome is worth enough money, and they're already talking about the problem, and they're already paying for solutions. Money is already exchanging hands. We just want to integrate ourselves within that steady stream of money flow, right? And then we have the actual skill. You have proof or experience of that skill. You have a known mechanism, and you can credibly help them with it. Okay, and so the intersection between the audience demand from your existing pool of people and the actual skill that you have is your opportunity. This is a valuable problem that you can credibly solve. This is the bridge. This is how you literally go from making $0 online with a huge audience with 10K followers to now having a clear opportunity with your existing demand and the skill that you actually have. And so the mistake would be forcing your favorite business model onto an audience instead of discovering what economic opportunity already exists inside that relationship. And so an example of this would be like what they can see, right? Is like extremely good at meal prep. Let's just say you're a meal prep content creator. And then they're asking you like, how do you actually stay fit while running a company? Your audience is literally commenting and DMing you that question. And so you have a valuable opportunity. You can help busy founders build a sustainable fitness system. And then another example, right? It's like what they can see. I grew an Instagram account. Oh, how did you do it? This is exactly what people were asking me about when I grew my Instagram. I got 20,000 followers in 30 days. And so they're like, how did you do that? And so I helped them build an audience like I had. And I made 8.7K my first month because I understood this stuff and the following stuff, okay? And so this, if you get this intersection right, monetization becomes dramatically easier because you have a clear opportunity and bridge between your existing demand and your actual skill that you have. Next is choosing the business model. This is one of the most important parts within this entire video, is the fact that so many people get this shiny object syndrome for this stuff here, digital products and community membership. So many people start with these and they think that, oh, I don't want to work that hard. I'm just going to sell a bunch of low ticket stuff so that people can buy, and then you don't realize you need massive distribution and it's much harder, and it serves a different function within how businesses online operate. Businesses like us, okay? And so the goal isn't to sell something, the goal is to solve the problem in the right way. And so we have this. You can feel free to take a screenshot of this. We have when it makes sense. Okay, we have one-on-one coaching and consulting, group and cohort. We have digital products, community and membership. We have media, brands, sponsorships, products, UGC, all of that stuff. When we think about when it makes sense, it's like the one-on-one coaching and consulting is high value, complex, and painful problem that you're solving. It requires customization and direct guidance from you. Group coaching and cohort is similar problem and similar outcome. And the way I like to think about this is if you were gonna try to sell like info or courses, how do you know what's gonna be in a course? You don't know what belongs in a course if you've never done this stuff. You can only do research on like what you believe to be, you know, good or productive within a course, but like you don't actually know because you haven't done one-on-one coaching or consulting yet. And so this surfaces the right problem. This is the right sequence to do it because now you know exactly what deserves to be in a course anyways. That way you can actually deliver on the outcome through a course while productizing your actual delivery. And then a lot of people don't realize that digital products and community and membership, these are like entries into your ecosystem, right? Like most people use digital products as lead magnets on Instagram so that they can capture email, have conversations, book calls with qualified people, and then end up closing them into the thing that actually makes the most money, which is one-on-one coaching or consulting or their group program. That's why it makes sense. And so the community, again, is just gonna be a lower, free or low ticket pool of qualified people that you make money on the front end with, and then you sell them into the thing that actually makes a ton of money. Like this is why people do this stuff, and it's getting a little messy here. I'm gonna clean it up. But like that's fundamentally why people do that model, is they'll self-liquidate on the community and the digital products, whether they run ads to it, and then they use those as entries into the ecosystem to actually sell the meaningful things that make the most amount of money. And so the sequence that you need to follow is you identify the problem, you assess the delivery and the requirements, then you evaluate the economics, which we can get into, and then you pick the model that fits that. And so you don't pick the model first, you pick the right vehicle for the specific problem that you're trying to solve. And so what mainly I would do if I had 10,000 followers and made no money, I would literally just aim to get 5 customers at 2K, okay? And that's 10K already, which is like incredibly doable. But again, this is all nuanced depending on what your existing audience is. Do you have an aligned audience? Are they misaligned? Are they adjacent? Okay, and this all is really important to your actual strategy because you can't sell someone who you made memes and then you're trying to sell them business consulting. It doesn't fucking make sense. Okay, they're never gonna buy that. If you did have a misaligned audience, you need to start building an aligned audience with what you're trying to sell. And so you're gonna start posting content in that lane so that they end up buying. And so I would rather 5 customers at $2,000, which is high learning. You learn a ton doing that, versus 200 customers at $50. You have no learning capability. You're literally just selling digital products. Sure, you make some money with low effort, but it's shallow insights. You don't get much and it's hard to improve. What you do is you evaluate what people pay for, why they buy, what objections come up, what creates results, and then what content brings in the best people into your high touch program. And then you get all this insights on like what's actually working. It's like, who is this, what type of content is bringing in what type of people, and then you just identify that, and it's like, okay, this type of content brings in high value people. Let's make more of that. And then you continue to do that and you iterate on those findings, and then you get better. Like the entire system just gets better overall. And so your goal is to start with maximum learning, and then you build the leverage. You're gonna think that like, okay, once we have all of this, we know exactly who we're targeting, we have our, we know exactly what business, model fits the problem, we know what the opportunity is, we know what we're gonna charge, all that stuff. You're gonna think, oh, okay, now we have to make a simple funnel for those organic, because you can easily get to like 30K per month just with outreach. Like it's so possible. I did it. I know so many people who have done it. I know a lot of my clients have done it. It's just the way that you can get to 30K a month really quickly. But it's like, then we have to figure out like, what is the actual content funnel? How do we get people organically? How do we get people coming in inbound instead of actually reaching out to a bunch of people? And you would think that we make a simple funnel. We make content, there's a clear next step, you have a conversation, they see your offer, and then they book a sales call, and then they close and pay you, and then you're fulfilling, all that stuff. But this, again, none of this shit matters if the people consuming your content are not reasonably aligned with the offer. If you have 10,000 followers and they all came from memes or motivation or dating or fitness, and now you want to sell business consulting, making a clearer funnel does not solve anything. You're just moving the wrong people through it more efficiently. And so you have to solve the audience problem, and then that problem, once it's solved, we can then look at the funnels, and then you can then use something like this, because it's going to actually work and people are going to actually move through the system more effectively. Once demand is proven and all this sounds good, then we have to build the long-term leverage. Okay, and long-term leverage looks something like this. We have long-form content, which is deep, valuable content that keeps, that you keep creating and they keep getting discovered, and people build conviction. There's literally sales assets that work for you throughout the sort of the lifetime of the video. And the half-life of a YouTube video is much longer than a fucking 30-second reel that you publish, okay? And so you build it once and it works forever. So you get discovered and then attention, and then you have own distribution, which is one of the most important things. It's an email list that you can control. So your entire business isn't dependent on rented platforms. This is one of the most important things that you can possibly do, is that you own the relationship between you and your leads. And so this is also more trust and conviction, but it also leads into your actual offer. And then you have this recurring environment, a space for strong people to stay connected. This is a community. And I'll go over my sort of business architecture on top of this. That way you can get a clear understanding of like, how did I actually migrate over to what I'm doing? What did I do before? All that stuff. And so this is the recurring relationship. But the biggest mistake is like you're creating 5 layers because the funnel looks beautiful on a whiteboard. And like nobody cares about that shit. What they care about is, can you provide value and then solve their problem? And what you need to care about, oh man, look at that. My handwriting is terrible. But what you need to care about is actually publishing content, attracting your ICP, owning distribution so you're not reliant on the platform, and then having a space where people can actually interact and continue to build trust and build more value. Okay, and so like the architecture that I use right now is Instagram, YouTube, and email. So we have IG, YouTube, and then email. And so IG goes to email, YouTube goes to also email, but it also goes to my free community, which I literally just launched. Feel free to join. We're gonna talk about strategy and all that stuff. But email is one of the coolest parts because I actually sell my offer in my email with an offer document. And if you guys wanna see the offer doc, I'll throw it in the description. And so this offer document sells through email. And I have this 7-day email training that I funnel everybody through from IG and from YouTube into my 7-day training. Most of the traffic that I get right now to the 7-day training is from Instagram. Basically, it goes through the 7 days, and then, I'll integrate my offer within that. And so these people who enter are also watching YouTube videos. They're also watching more of my Instagram stories for proximity. And that's basically how I do it. And that's how I got rid of my sales calls, is that it's a marketing-based conversion mechanism. It's not a sales-based conversion. But again, this marketing evolution is something that you need to, you need the sales-based conversion in order to understand how to make your marketing more effective so that it builds enough trust and conviction in your ability so you can end up closing clients and making money. But yeah, hopefully this is helpful. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.